morning.
Pants tomorrow, please, David.
Terry, I want you to join your brothers in the ring.
Yes, sir. I love that.
Woo! Now, we all know Kerry's my favorite, then Kev, then David, then Mike. But the rankings can always change.
What do you want in life, Kevin Von Erich?
More ribs?
I want to be with my family. Be with my brothers.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's Reviews. On today's video, we're going to turn our attention to what some are calling the heavyweight tearjerker of the year, the Iron Claw. The Von Erich family are one of the most prestigious families in all of wrestling entertainment, but their history is one overcome with tragedy and pain. The Iron Claw follows the rise to fame of Kevin, David, Kerry, and Michael, commanded by their indomitable father Fritz, as they set out on a path of greatness to change the wrestling industry and to take the family name and place it squarely in the history books. However, as time passes, heartache strikes each with a catastrophic blow. As a wrestling fanatic myself, I was more than aware of who the Von Erichs were. They are a family that arguably made the wrestling industry what it is today. But I was also aware of their numerous misfortunes. Sean Durkin's film keeps that for the second act. The first act is more prominently focused on the family, on the brothers, the bond that they have, and the love that they have for wrestling, but more importantly, the love that they have for each other. It does feature a number of really entertaining wrestling sequences. It cleverly blurs that line between kayfabe and reality, mostly because in the 80s, wrestlers would do whatever they needed to in order to get themselves over. But The Iron Claw is far from a sports movie. Sure, there are the old underdog, defy the odds at the last second kind of cliches, but Durkin's film is not wanting to live out the Von Erich glory days. The Iron Claw peels back the curtain to look at the Von Erich family dynamics, both the good and the bad. Holt McCallany plays the brutish Fritz Von Erich, a man who is beset and plagued by his past failings and willing to warp and push his sons far beyond the limits to achieve what he never could, or, according to him, what was always taken from him. McCallany is a large and looming presence. He doesn't always need to talk in a scene, but he merely can just scowl, and you know exactly the frame of mind that his character is in. And his interpretation of Fritz is hateful. He's a man who is just unable to let go of the past and willing to use his family to right a wrong rather than be the caring father that these boys so desperately needed. And Maura Tierney, as the matriarch of the Von Erich family, she's a very complex character too. She's deeply layered, but not as vitriolic as her husband. She's incredibly neglectful, constantly hiding behind either her husband or God in order to almost relieve herself from parenting these boys. But as for the Von Erich boys themselves, each of them are cast brilliantly. And it's that bond that the characters and the actors share, that is where the film shines. Dickinson plays David, who just oozes charisma. He's a very confident kind of guy. And I've been somewhat critical of Dickinson in the past. I haven't necessarily warmed to him as an actor as much as other people have. Some are touting him as like the next best thing. I haven't yet seen that from him, but that isn't the case anymore. He's incredible in this. Jeremy Allen White too, he continues his string of excellent performances. We've seen how good he is in shows like Shameless and The Bear, and now he is just on a ridiculous rise to fame, now with the Iron Claw to boost him. He plays Kerry. Now, Kerry Von Erich, who some of you might know as the Texas Tornado in WWF, Kerry goes through perhaps the most transformative arc and suffers ordeal after ordeal. And the way that White chooses to portray, it's this bubbling frustration that is coursing through his veins. And then when it gets to a point where it has no choice but to boil over, White explodes. However, though, the real star of this movie is Zac Efron. There's no denying it. This is a career-defining moment for him. Firstly, look, the sheer physical transformation is astonishing. But whilst he may look like a brick wall, Kevin has an unexpected gentility about him. He's the mild-mannered, softly spoken member of the family who, sure, would he love to be World Heavyweight Champion? Absolutely. At the same time, though, all he really wants is to share the ring with his brothers and enjoy doing that. And that's what makes Efron's final scenes totally and utterly devastating. It's a huge emotional release that got me square in the chest. I was sobbing. And I haven't done that in a movie in quite a long time. It's just a barrage of sadness and trauma that only takes effect when the film finally just takes a minute to reflect. And it is purposeful, that choice. Because, it hits like a motherfucker. The Iron Claw isn't perfect, though. I think it has some pacing and rhythm issues. For instance, when the second act kind of comes around and we start reeling from these tragedies, they hit in quite alarmingly quick succession. I understand the intention because they really did happen in such a way, but as an audience member watching a film, you're not quite given the time to process anything that you saw before. So I understand the effect of putting yourself in Kevin's shoes, but as a film, just maybe needed just a little bit more chance to really let what has happened sink in. But its faults had next to no impact on my appreciation for this film. Durkin doesn't look to get carried away with the glitz and the glam of the wrestling world and keeps the focus of the film and its story on the shoulders of the Von Erich family. It's a tough watch, but it is beautifully told. All the performances are sublime, and it's a crying shame that they started their rewards campaign too late for this to get any traction, because in my eyes, Zac Efron is more than deserving of an Oscar nomination here. A mesmerizing, heart-shattering look at toxic masculinity tearing a family apart. Bring the tissues. I'm going to give The Iron Claw an 8.5 out of 10. Anyway, guys, those were my thoughts on The Iron Claw. Let me know, have you had a chance to see the film yet? What did you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Now, my question to you, this may appeal to some more of the wrestling aficionados, but is there a wrestling story, be it real or kayfabe, that you think deserves its own cinematic adaptation? The Montreal Screwjob is just a fascinating story the more that you read about it. So something like that would be very interesting to hear about. I think as well, you look at some of the stories of Daniel Bryan, Edge, who it was all but confirmed that their careers had essentially ended, or their in-ring careers had ended, and the return that they've been able to accomplish is nothing short of a miracle. So maybe even something like that, an adaptation of their story or based around their story, could be very interesting. But that is all the time we have for today, so thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.